Not all hunger is physical. Some feed off your light. You've felt it before, that invisible pull. A conversation that leaves you anxious. A place that makes you heavy. A person whose presence feels like it reaches inside and takes something from you, without ever asking. You go in feeling fine, and come out feeling hollow. This isn't just coincidence. Your energy is currency in a world where not everyone trades with integrity. What if I told you some people don't even know they're feeding on others? And others? They know exactly what they're doing. Your light is powerful, but power attracts. Not everything that draws near is there to love you. The truth is, you don't just need protection from the outer world. You need remembrance of your inner authority, because until you know how to guard your energy, it won't fully belong to you. Are you ready to stop leaking light and start reclaiming it? Most people think that losing energy feels dramatic, like burnout after working too hard, or emotional collapse after a breakup. But the real drain often happens in silence, subtly, repeatedly, so quietly in fact, that you don't even notice, until your inner light has dimmed. Energy doesn't just leave your body. It leaks through your thoughts, through your attention, and through invisible cords you don't remember tying. Have you ever walked into a room and immediately felt tired, unfocused, or even sad, for no apparent reason? Have you ever left a conversation and felt like you needed to shake something off that wasn't yours? That's not just intuition. That's your energetic field responding to what, or who, is around you. We live in a world of constant exchange. Every interaction, whether it's physical, emotional, or even digital, creates a current. And if you're not mindful, your energy becomes the default offering. That Instagram scroll, that negative conversation, that harmless gossip, that friend who always calls in crisis, they're all feeding, not necessarily out of malice, but out of unawareness. Yet the result is the same. You feel empty, irritable, unfocused, ungrounded. One of the most overlooked forms of energetic loss is unconscious agreement. This is when you give permission, silently, to let others affect you. When you don't say no, but you don't say yes either. When you tolerate something that isn't aligned, thinking it's easier than conflict. When you keep peace outside, but disturb it within. Another hidden drain is over-identification. You tie your energy to things that are not you. A role, a label, an expectation. You put your light into maintaining a version of yourself that others approve of, and suddenly, your authentic essence is no longer being fueled. You're performing life, not living it. And of course, unprocessed emotions act like energetic anchors. Every suppressed feeling, shame, grief, resentment, lives in your body, and it consumes energy to keep it buried. This is one reason people feel chronically tired, no matter how much they rest. It's not physical exhaustion, it's emotional congestion. You might also be plugged into collective fields. Fear from the news, anxiety from social media, collective grief, outrage, distraction. Without realizing it, your field becomes a sponge, soaking in the frequencies around you, blending them into your own. You think it's your sadness, your stress, but it's not. It's the world's, and you're carrying it. The truth is, energy is always moving, and where attention goes, energy flows. So if you're not choosing where your attention lands, someone or something else will. But here's the deeper truth. Your energy is sovereign. It is not meant to be taken, drained, or scattered. It is meant to be directed with clarity, intention, and sacred boundaries. Before we talk about how to protect your energy, you must first become deeply aware of how it's being taken, because awareness is always the first gate of sovereignty. This isn't about becoming paranoid or closed. It's about becoming conscious, because when you remember how sacred your energy truly is, you'll stop giving it away for free. What energy theft really looks like. Energy theft doesn't always come with flashing lights or obvious villains. In fact, most of the time, it shows up wearing a familiar face. a friend, a partner, a coworker, even your own inner voice. It often hides behind the mask of normalcy because this world has made it normal to live disconnected from your power and to tolerate the quiet erosion of your soul. So what does energy theft actually look like? It looks like conversations that leave you feeling smaller instead of seen. It looks like constantly playing the role of healer, fixer, or peacekeeper, even when no one asked you to. It looks like saying yes when your body is screaming no. It looks like scrolling for hours, watching other people's lives while yours fades into the background. And more than that, it feels like fatigue without reason, like carrying a weight that you can't name, like being surrounded by people but feeling alone in your energy, like slowly becoming a version of yourself that feels more convenient than authentic. The truth is, energy theft is rarely malicious. Most people who pull on your energy don't even realize they're doing it. They've simply learned, consciously or not, that you're a source of light. And because they don't know how to create or source that light for themselves, they plug into yours. Not always because they're toxic, but because they're empty and you're full. This creates a dangerous pattern. You give, they receive, you dim, they shine. And over time, you start to forget that you ever had light to begin with. But energy theft isn't always external. Sometimes it's internal. It's the voice in your head that says, "Don't speak up, you'll upset them," or "Don't rest, you haven't earned it," or "You can't say no, they need you." These thoughts, born from past wounds and inherited beliefs, slowly chip away at your power. They train you to abandon yourself in the name of being good, liked, or useful. And each time you obey them, you give a piece of your energy to an identity that isn't yours. Another major form of energy theft is overexposure, being too available, too visible, too open energetically, without discernment. This can happen through social media, oversharing, or even spending time in environments that constantly demand your attention. Every time you're on for others, but disconnected from yourself, your field begins to weaken. You feel drained, scattered, easily triggered, and often uncertain about what's really yours and what you've absorbed. Energetic theft also happens through cords, invisible energetic attachments formed by deep emotional exchanges. These cords can linger long after relationships end. Someone can still be thinking about you obsessively, blaming you, or longing for your presence. And that energetic link feeds off your field. You may find yourself thinking about them randomly, feeling their emotions, or losing sleep. That's not coincidence. That's an open channel. But here's what's important to remember. Awareness is protection. The more attuned you become to the feel of energy theft, the easier it is to reclaim your space. Begin asking yourself, does this interaction nourish me or deplete me? Am I being met or mined? Do I leave this space feeling more connected to myself or less? Because the body always knows. The spirit always whispers, and your energy never lies. The more you recognize the subtle signs, the more empowered you become. Not to close yourself off, but to choose who gets access, to honor your field, and to live in alignment with what is truly yours to carry. Not all energy drains come from people. Some come from places. Some come from patterns. And some, perhaps the most dangerous, come from unseen forces that recognize your light long before you recognize it yourself. You see, when your energy is strong, clear, and radiant, it becomes magnetic. It emits a frequency that not only uplifts others, but also becomes noticeable in the spiritual realm. Just like moths are drawn to flame, certain entities, thought forms, and parasitic energies are drawn to the warmth of your presence, but not to admire it, to feed off it. This isn't about fear. This is about awareness. Because once you understand how these forces operate, you're no longer a passive target. You become a conscious guardian of your field. So what are these unseen forces? Some are astral parasites, energy-based beings that exist in lower frequency dimensions and which attach to human fields through trauma, addiction, and chronic emotional imbalance. They don't look like monsters. Often they don't look like anything. They are felt more than seen. And they feed not on your physical body, but on your vibration, specifically your pain, fear, shame, and despair. They thrive in chaos. They grow in disconnection. They slip through the cracks of your consciousness when your boundaries are low and your awareness is distracted. Ever felt a sudden emotional crash out of nowhere? A flood of anxiety without a source? A sharp shift into hopelessness that feels like it isn't yours? These are some of the signatures of energetic interference. Not always, but often. Other forms of unseen forces are collective thought forms, energetic clouds created by repeated thoughts and emotions held by groups of people. For example, in places where war, addiction, or oppression have lingered, there exists an invisible field of dense, heavy vibration. These fields have intelligence, not like yours, but enough to attach to open fields, enough to perpetuate their own cycle of density by latching onto light. And then there are ancestral wounds and karmic entanglements, energies passed down through bloodlines or soul contracts that aren't yours, but live in you. These too can feed on your light by keeping you in loops of emotional pain or unconscious self-sacrifice. You may think it's your guilt, your fear, your addiction, when in truth, you've inherited it. And until it's seen, it can act as a portal for even deeper interference. These forces don't attach randomly. They need permission, even if unconscious. That's why altered states, such as substance use, prolonged emotional trauma, or deep spiritual naivety, can act as openings, not because the substance or emotion is inherently evil, but because it drops your guard. It makes your field more accessible. They feed where you're weakest, and they remain where you are unaware. But your greatest weapon is not anger, not aggression, not even defense. Your power is conscious presence. When you are rooted in your own frequency, when your mind is quiet, your heart is open, and your field is clear, no lower force can remain in resonance with you. They simply cannot survive in the frequency of truth. And that is why so many of these forces do everything they can to keep you distracted, addicted, exhausted, doubting. Because if you were ever fully aligned with your light, they would lose their food source, and you would remember who you are. Ask yourself, are there emotional patterns I keep falling into that feel older than me? Do I sometimes feel like I'm not alone in my own energy, even when I am? Are there moments when my light dims without explanation, as if something is pulling on it? These questions aren't for paranoia, they're for power. Because your awareness doesn't just observe reality, it changes it. Every time you turn your inner gaze toward what was hidden, you reclaim another thread of your sovereignty. You were not made to fear the unseen. You were made to master it. And every step you take toward that remembrance, every breath of clarity, every boundary of truth, every act of self-honoring, weakens their grip and strengthens your light. How to tell if you're being drained? Energetic drainage isn't always dramatic. It rarely comes with alarms or flashing signs. Most of the time, it whispers, quietly, consistently, until you no longer recognize who you were before it started. It's subtle, and that's why it's so dangerous. Most people think being drained feels like sudden exhaustion, and yes, sometimes it is. But in truth, the most consistent signs of energetic depletion are so woven into your daily life that you begin to normalize them. Let's begin with the emotional body. One of the earliest signs you are being drained is emotional volatility that doesn't seem to match your environment. You may feel sad, anxious, angry, or hopeless without a clear reason. It's not that the emotions aren't real, they are, but their source may not be entirely your own. When your field is open or porous, you begin to absorb energy from others, from spaces, or even from unseen influences, and your body processes that energy as if it were yours. Have you ever walked into a room and suddenly felt heavy, foggy, or nervous, even though nothing is happening? Have you ever left a conversation feeling like you lost something, like you're off, but can't quite explain why? That's energetic drainage. Another subtle sign is constant mind chatter, but not just any overthinking. It's a loop that sounds like worry, fear, self-doubt, or insecurity, and it often increases after interacting with certain people, scrolling through social media, or being in crowded spaces. This isn't just psychological. This is energetic noise, the resonance of other people's unprocessed energy bouncing around in your field. There's also sleep disturbances that go beyond the occasional restlessness. If you consistently wake up more tired than when you went to bed, or if your dreams feel chaotic, dark, or emotionally taxing, it may be a sign your energetic body is doing heavy lifting while you sleep. In other words, something or someone is draining you, even in the astral. Then there's the physical layer. Drainage can manifest as weird body tension, especially around the solar plexus, your personal power center, the heart, your emotional core, or the back of your neck and shoulders, where energy cords often anchor. You might feel tightness, tingling, or even heat or cold in these areas without a medical cause. You might also notice a sudden craving for stimulation, caffeine, sugar, screen time, anything that gives a quick energy boost. But the more you reach outside yourself to feel alive, the more disconnected you become. Spiritually, perhaps the most important sign is a slow loss of connection to your own truth. You stop hearing your intuition clearly. You start second-guessing yourself. You feel off, but can't locate the source. You feel less inspired, less guided, more reactive. And this is the goal of energetic interference: to separate you from yourself, to make you dependent on the external, to dull your frequency so you forget how powerful you are. Ask yourself, am I constantly tired, no matter how much I rest? Do I feel emotionally crowded, like I'm carrying more than what belongs to me? Have I slowly started to disconnect from my own joy, creativity, or clarity? These are not random experiences. They're signals, invitations to pause, turn inward, and reassess your energetic hygiene. Protection doesn't mean paranoia. It means presence. It means paying attention to what your body, emotions, and intuition are trying to tell you, even when the world says to just push through, ignore it, or numb it. Once you start listening to those signals, you begin to shift. You begin to realize how much you've been holding that was never yours to begin with. And in that realization, something powerful happens. Your light starts to return. Because your energy isn't lost. It's just scattered. Reclaim it, piece by piece, thought by thought, breath by breath. You don't need to become harder. You just need to become clearer. Not all vampires have fangs. Some wear smiles. Some sit across from you at dinner. Some live inside your head, shaped by patterns you've repeated for years. Energy vampires are not just people. They are frequencies. They are codes of depletion that take many forms: human, spatial, and internal. Let's start with the most obvious form: people. You've likely encountered them before. The kind of person who leaves you feeling smaller, heavier, or confused after every interaction. They might not mean harm consciously. In fact, many of them operate from deep wounds and unmet needs. But their presence pulls from your field, not because they are evil, but because they are empty. And instead of turning inward, they feed outward. They may show up as chronic victims, always needing saving, or as dominating personalities who override your voice and drown your nervous system in chaos. They may come cloaked in charisma, charming, magnetic, and yet somehow, after being around them, your clarity dissolves, your light dims. You doubt yourself. This is energetic consumption masked as connection. But people aren't the only siphons. Places carry energy too. Have you ever walked into a room and instantly felt unease? A weight? A subtle pressure in your chest or temples? Spaces hold the memory of emotion, trauma, intention. Some places are saturated with fear, anger, or grief. And if your field is open, you absorb that. Cities, workplaces, even certain homes can act like vortexes that drain the unaware. Not because they're cursed, but because energy accumulates where attention gathers. What was once sacred can become dense. What was once light-filled can become heavy with emotional residue. And then there are patterns, the most overlooked and the most dangerous kind of energy vampire. These are the loops in your own mind, born from fear, shame, unworthiness, or guilt. Every time you replay that limiting thought, every time you return to that inner narrative that says, "I'm not enough," you're leaking energy, not just emotionally, but spiritually. Your auric field thins, your vibration dips, and over time, you become vulnerable, not just to others, but to the false self you keep feeding. We often think of protection as a defense against them, but so much of our energetic loss comes from us, from the unconscious agreements we keep making with patterns that don't serve us anymore. Ask yourself, who in my life consistently leaves me feeling drained, foggy, or small? What places in my world feel heavy the moment I arrive? Which thoughts or emotional habits do I keep repeating, even though they exhaust me? When we name the vampires, we begin to weaken their grip. Awareness is the first reclaiming. But beware of one trap: judgment. It's easy to vilify the people or spaces that drain us, but the deeper teaching is neutrality. Not everyone who drains you is malicious. Some are simply not aligned with your frequency anymore. Some are teachers, revealing where your boundaries are missing or where your power is unclaimed. The key is not to fight, it's to recognize, to discern, and then to choose. Do I keep offering my energy to this, or do I redirect it inward, toward my own alignment? Remember, your energy is sacred currency, and every time you spend it, you are casting a vote for what stays in your reality. This isn't about becoming closed or paranoid. It's about becoming conscious. When you start observing the subtle energetic exchanges in your life, who or what gives, who or what takes, you stop living reactively and start living intentionally. You're not here to be consumed. You're here to shine. But that light can only stay radiant when you learn what dims it and why you keep letting it. Let this be the moment you stop calling your exhaustion normal. It's not. It's information. It's a message from your soul saying, something is draining you and it's time to choose differently. Before you can protect your energy, you must first recognize that it's being affected, constantly, invisibly, and often without your permission. We live in an energetic ecosystem, not a vacuum. Your field is not isolated. It's in constant dialogue with the people, spaces, sounds, intentions, and unseen energies around you. And the first true step to protection is becoming aware of that conversation. Most people move through life unconscious of this exchange. They feel tired and blame their schedule. They feel anxious and blame the news. They feel disconnected and think it's just one of those days. But underneath the surface, their energy has been leaking for hours, maybe years, without them ever seeing the wound. Awareness is not paranoia. It's presence. It's about slowing down enough to sense, to feel the moment you start contracting around someone's words, to notice the subtle shift in your breath when you enter a certain space, to track the tiny tremors in your emotional field when someone projects fear, judgment, or need onto you. This isn't about overanalyzing every interaction. It's about finally listening to the feedback your body and soul have been giving you all along. Your nervous system, your emotions, and your energy are always in communication. But if you've been conditioned to override your intuition, to keep the peace, to not be too sensitive, to ignore the discomfort for the sake of belonging, then your awareness has been dulled. Not lost, just muted, buried under layers of noise, obligation, and survival. The path back to awareness starts in stillness. Not necessarily meditation, though that helps, but in micro pauses throughout your day. Moments where you ask, what am I feeling right now? Is this even mine? So much of what we carry energetically isn't ours. We absorb tension from others. We hold grief that belongs to generations before us. We walk through rooms and pick up fear, self-hatred, confusion, and we carry it unknowingly like energetic dust clinging to us. Awareness allows you to clean your field before it becomes heavy. It also helps you detect patterns. You may notice that after certain interactions or scrolling certain content, you feel heavier. That's not coincidence. That's feedback. Your energy is mapping your experience. But if you're not present with it, you'll miss the signals and only feel the symptoms. Burnout, confusion, irritability, detachment. Ask yourself, where in my life do I consistently feel more drained than energized? What sensations arise in my body when I enter different environments or engage with certain people? These are sacred questions, not for the mind to solve, but for the body and soul to feel into. And here's a powerful truth. The moment you become aware of your energy, it begins to respond to you differently. Like a child finally being seen after years of being ignored, your field begins to reorganize. Awareness alone can restore flow. Simply noticing a contraction without judgment creates space for release. But remember, awareness is a practice, not a destination. You don't become fully aware one day and never struggle again. You return to it moment by moment. It's the ritual of remembering yourself, of choosing presence over autopilot. In a world that constantly pulls your attention outward, becoming aware of your energy is a radical act of sovereignty. It's you saying, I see what's mine, I feel what's not, I honor my field. From that place, true protection can begin. Not as armor, but as alignment. Not as defense, but as discernment. Because once you're aware of what's influencing you, you finally gain the power to choose what to allow in, what to release, and how to hold your light no matter what surrounds you. How to fortify your field daily. Your energetic field is not fixed. It breathes, expands, contracts, and shifts constantly depending on what you feed it, how you tend to it, and what you expose it to. The idea of building a shield isn't about becoming untouchable. It's about cultivating a consistent energetic integrity so that your presence becomes less porous, less reactive, and more sovereign, no matter what enters your environment. The truth is, you already have a shield. It's your aura, it's your field. But for many, that shield is frayed at the edges, full of micro tears from years of energetic exchange, emotional trauma, unresolved wounds, and unconscious entanglements. And when your field isn't fortified, you become like a house with open windows in a storm. Anything can blow in. So how do you rebuild that shield daily? Not once in a while, not just when you feel attacked or overwhelmed, but as a sacred rhythm of life. It begins with devotion. This is not about rigid spiritual routines or fear-based protection rituals. It's about building a lifestyle where your energy is honored as your most precious currency, because it is. Start with your morning frequency. The moment you wake, you're entering a new field. What you reach for first, your phone, your breath, your thoughts, shapes the architecture of your energetic shield. Begin by grounding. Place your hand on your chest. Feel your body. Speak your name inwardly. Claim your presence before the world claims it for you. A simple mantra whispered with intention can be more powerful than hours of distraction. I am light in form. I choose what enters my space today. Next comes energetic hygiene, and this is non-negotiable. Just as you brush your teeth and wash your face, you must clear your field. Visualization is a powerful tool here. See light pouring from your crown, washing through your body, and releasing anything that doesn't belong to you. Feel it drain through your feet, back into the earth. Some call it imagination, but imagination is the interface between your soul and this world. Protecting your field also means choosing your inputs wisely. What you watch, read, listen to, it imprints you. Every post you scroll, every word you consume, every conversation you entertain, it either strengthens your field or pokes holes in it. Be ruthless with what you allow into your space, not from fear, but from reverence. Breathwork and movement anchor you deeper into your own energy. The more embodied you are, the less likely you are to merge unconsciously with others. When you're dissociated or in your head, your field becomes more open, less defined. Even 10 minutes of intentional breath or grounding movement can return you to your center, and your center is your shield. Nature fortifies your field like nothing else. The sun, the soil, the trees. They recalibrate you. They remind your energy how to harmonize, how to hold its shape. Spend time with them. Lay on the earth. Let the wind clear you. You are not separate from these forces. You are made of them. And finally, call your energy back. This is perhaps the most essential daily practice. So many people have parts of themselves scattered across people, timelines, past conversations, unresolved dynamics. At the end of each day, or whenever you feel fragmented, close your eyes, breathe, and simply say, I call all my energy back to me, cleansed and whole. Visualize it returning to your body, like golden threads weaving you back into yourself. This is how you build your shield, not through walls, through clarity, through presence, through love for your own frequency. Because when your field is strong, you don't need to push the world away. It begins to respond to your vibration instead of pulling you into its chaos. You become less reactive, more intuitive, less drained, more magnetic. This is not about control. It's about coherence. And the more you do this, the more natural it becomes. Your shield is not a static barrier. It's a living extension of your inner alignment. You're not hiding behind it. You're radiating from within it. This is the daily work, the quiet, invisible, sacred tending to the temple of your being. No one may see it, but everything will feel it. Your energy is not a side effect of your existence. It is your essence in motion, the unseen current behind every thought, action, feeling, and presence. It speaks before you open your mouth. It moves before you take a step. And it's either being directed consciously or drained unconsciously. No one else has the responsibility to protect your field. No one else can fully understand what you carry, what you're sensitive to, or what dims your inner light. That sacred knowing lives inside you, and the more you remember who you are, the more you begin to see. You were always meant to be the guardian of your energy. Being a guardian doesn't mean you become hard, rigid, or closed off from life. It means you become deeply attuned. It means you begin to choose what deserves your presence and what does not. It means you stop abandoning yourself to avoid disappointing others. It means you stop giving your light to people, places, and patterns that refuse to hold it with care. Guardianship is not about fear, it's about reverence. It's walking through the world knowing your field is sacred, that your time is sacred, that your emotions are sacred, that even your stillness is a form of power. And when you treat your own energy this way, the universe begins to treat you this way too. You begin to magnetize different situations. The wrong ones begin to fall away without explanation. And what once drained you begins to feel incompatible, not because you cut it out, but because your frequency no longer resonates with it. To be a guardian means you listen. When something feels off, you don't override it. You don't rationalize it away. You don't wait for proof. You trust the subtle, the gut pull, the quiet discomfort. That's your energy speaking to you, guiding you to where you're meant to be. And perhaps most importantly, being a guardian means you learn to come home to yourself, again and again. No matter who left, no matter what was taken, no matter how scattered or fractured you felt, your power is never truly lost. It's only forgotten and always waiting for your return. You are not here to live in depletion. You are not here to be a sponge for other people's wounds. You are not here to dim yourself just to make others comfortable. You are not here to spend your entire life recovering from energetic entanglements you didn't ask for. You are here to shine. You are here to be a living, breathing expression of your soul's truth. You are here to know yourself so fully that nothing outside of you can convince you otherwise. And yes, that takes practice. It takes presence. It takes boundaries. It takes forgiveness. It takes the courage to choose peace over chaos, clarity over confusion, and alignment over approval. But more than anything, it takes love. Deep, radical, unwavering love for yourself as you are. Not when you're more healed, not when you're more spiritual, not when you're more productive or put together, but now, as you are, right here. Because when you love yourself at the frequency of truth, your energy begins to organize itself around that love. It becomes your shield, your guide, your lighthouse. So today and every day forward, remember this. You are not fragile. You are not too sensitive. You are not overreacting. You are perceiving deeply, and that's a gift. And when you honor that gift, when you stop apologizing for your light and start protecting it, you step into a level of power that can't be taken, stolen, or faked. You become the guardian, and the world begins to feel your presence before you even speak. Not because you said something powerful, but because you remembered who you are and you stood in it.